Good afternoon. This is Brad Weber with Local Umbrella Media. We are here for another edition of Local Umbrella Live from the beautiful IQ Podcast Studios in Coronado, California. I have an extremely special guest today, Mr. Michael Gier. Michael is a producer, director of a documentary called Wounded Heroes about some of our issues, some of our veterans and other first responders, et cetera, et cetera. I'll let you say more about that. But first of all, welcome, Michael. Thanks for being
Yeah,
with us today.
good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so there's a lot to tell. I'll be asking you some specific questions later, but I want to play just a really short clip. You sent me a clip of some of the scenes from your documentary, and so I want to play that now, and then we can go through it and kind of you can tell me what some of those scenes meant, not only to the viewers but to you in making the movie.
Okay.
So just a taste. I'm going to ask you more about the movie. Some of the scenes in the movie that you saw in that clip were here in San Diego, by the way, and that's why that's a big part of our local scene here. But if you can just tell me a little bit about, maybe your background and why you decided to make a movie like this, and this movie in particular.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm originally from San Diego, born and raised, and I love that city, although I live in Los Angeles. I grew up basically starting at the age of 14 as an entertainer, and I made a living as an entertainer for most of my life, starring in Broadway shows all over the country and world, singer, dancer, actor. And then eventually I got into TV and film acting. Back in 2009, I started my production company, Gier Productions. Mm-hmm. And we produced TV commercials and corporate videos and, lots of different things. But about 6 years ago, I did our first film. And since then, we've done a number of short films and feature films. This documentary is my first feature-length documentary, as you said, called Wounded Heroes. Wounded Heroes. I should know the name of my movie, right? And this project started because I was doing some interviews just to learn a little bit about post-traumatic stress. And I met a guy in San Diego named Carl. He was in his 20s. He was a medic, and he had post-traumatic stress. And I was shocked to find out that he was on 16 different medications, down from 18. And he said it was just a Band-Aid. It wasn't actually solving the problem. It was just pushing back some of the symptoms. But he was a mess and on a lot of medications. And so I walked out of that interview and realized we needed to make a documentary and figure out if there are options available out there that can literally give people their lives back and get them off the medications. And thankfully, we found all kinds of treatments and options, and they're featured in the film.
Wow. Well, it's an amazing film. It's certainly a tearjerker. It makes you, it touches some deep feelings. I was first introduced here in San Diego by the folks out at Saddles and Service, who they do some amazing work with equine therapy and horses and with these heroes. And I watched the movie last night just to get a refresher, and it's again, and it's powerful. Let me tell you. I mean, people hear a lot about the opioid crisis and things like that in general, but over medication and incorrect medication and whatnot. So tell us a little bit more about what you discovered from the locals here and the other people you featured in the film.
Yeah, Saddles and Service was, first of all, I just love going to the ranch. As you know, it's a beautiful ranch, and they're doing such amazing work with the horses and the heroes. One of the things we talk about in the film, which I loved, was the fact that they're rescue horses. And so Tammy, who runs the organization with her husband, Mike, Tammy was saying that they heal each other. You've got heroes that are broken. You've got horses that have got issues and are broken, but they heal each other. And it's just amazing to hear the stories and see how that works firsthand when we were there filming there in San Diego.
Yeah, they're amazing. I actually went out a couple weeks ago, and my wife happens to be a nurse, and she,
Ah,
they're going through a lot this last year with COVID and the things they're putting up with, and they need some help too. So she took some of the nurses from Sharp Hospital here in San Diego out and toured the facilities, and they were completely blown away by all the stuff that you said. It's just incredible what they do, and when I was out there, I met a couple of the heroes, the wounded heroes, and just as it makes you cry. It literally makes you cry when you hear their stories and these big smiles of how their lives have been changed. So you're the expert. Don't let me tell about it. You tell about what you found and go on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, what I wasn't expecting to find was how often the medications are prescribed. I was shocked when I found out what Carl was going through and that it didn't really help. And I didn't go out looking for that story. It's just that we went out all over the country interviewing different veterans and first responders. They are the ones who over and over again brought up the point that they were medicated. And some of them so bad that they couldn't even leave their house to check the mail. They're curled up in a ball on their floor, couldn't keep a job, losing marriages. They were just a mess. And so for many of them, it turns out the medications actually made things worse. And so what's great about the film is it's all about hope. That footage you showed earlier in the program here with the coffins, that was 20 coffins showing 20 veterans a day who take their lives by suicide. But the first responder people also have very high suicide rates. And that includes dispatchers and firefighters, police officers, doctors, and nurses, as you said, your wife. And they dealt with a lot with COVID. And so they're having a hard time with post-traumatic stress because of the trauma they experienced during COVID. But I was just surprised at how many people talked about the medications. And although we had the coffins and we show the percentage or the amount of people per day who passed by suicide, the film is all about hope. It's all positive. We're giving examples from people who were absolutely hopeless, suicidal. Some had tried to take their lives by suicide, who found something that's featured in the film, and they now have their lives back. And they make statements like, "I've never been happier in my life," or "I feel like a soldier again," which one of the guys said at Saddles and Service, or "Life is worth living." I mean, those are powerful statements from people who were at one time hopeless.
Yeah, absolutely. And the families, all their families, along with the individuals, their whole families, whether their wives and kids or relatives and friends, it changes their lives too when they find someone they love that's come back from a state of mind like that. So it's just incredible what, some relatively simple procedures from what I saw in the film. It's not that complicated. Just you let the horses do the therapy and the other things that you featured in the film. It's fairly simple things and much better than drugs.
Yeah, and the great thing about it is you don't have to talk about the trauma with any of the things we featured in the film. We have RTM, reconsolidation of traumatic memories, ART, accelerated resolution therapy. We went to 2 different week-long camps, the Brain Treatment Center, the Saddles and Service. We just featured a lot of different things, and with none of them does anybody have to tell their story or the trauma that is causing the post-traumatic stress. And that's huge because the VA has something called prolonged exposure therapy, where they ask the person to keep telling the story over and over again in hopes that it would desensitize and it won't have the effect on them that it had in the past. But instead, it's not working. Most of them drop out. Some have taken their lives by suicide because of the program, and very few have actually done well with it. And that's because they don't want to have the trauma talked about and brought up in their mind and physically, and it's overwhelming. And so with everything we featured, including Saddles and Service, you don't have to talk about the trauma, and you can get complete relief from post-traumatic stress.
Great. Good to know. So what's happened since the movie's been released? When exactly was it released? It was last year.
It was actually March 5th of this year, so just a few months
It was
ago.
this year. Oh my gosh, I thought it was end of last year. Sorry about that. But
Well,
so what kind of feedback have you got?
You're actually right, because it was supposed to be released in November of last year. We had to push it to March 5th for a number of reasons. There was so much in the news back then that my PR company said, we're not going to get any attention. The press isn't going to listen to anything we're saying about an amazing, life-changing film when you have so much press with the election and everything else going on. So we chose to push it to March 5th.
Oh, good. So what's the reaction been?
It's been great. I'm getting emails and social media posts from people all over the world who are watching it because it is available on Amazon,
Right.
iTunes, Google Play, YouTube Movies. It's just everywhere.
Mhm.
So a lot of people are watching it and getting the comments. The film has won 2 awards from film festivals,
Mm.
which is nice. But I produced the film to save lives, and so the most exciting thing is when I do get comments and emails from people saying how much the film impacted their lives, the tears they shed. One guy said this was a 3-year journey for you. He goes, but this was 20-year journey for me, and now answered questions. So he's completely been benefited by the film. A woman said, I have my husband back, and my
Mhm.
children have their father back after
Wow.
he did a treatment featured in the film. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Just hearing the stories from a sheriff, not a sheriff, a assistant fire chief in Canada.
Mhm.
I've got police chiefs sending me messages, people from all walks of life just saying they didn't realize there was this kind of help out there. They really had given up and didn't think there was any hope after watching people who were in that same place who now are better. They're excited. Some have tried some of the treatments and emailed me and said they were outstanding. They've changed my life. That's for me what the film is all about.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, we will have some information on this podcast of how to get the film, how to find it online, and how to contact you if people have more to ask or share. So, speaking of San Diego, now you had a couple other people in San Diego. I remember
Mm-hmm.
the AR. Excuse me, is it ART therapy
So that one we filmed in Florida, and
in
the
Florida? Okay,
RTM we did in San Diego.
okay. Sounds
Yeah,
great.
that was with Dr. Denise. She's wonderful, and she brought in a number of different veterans who had benefited, and it was just life changing. Hearing their stories and watching their tears as they told their stories,
Yeah.
but tears of joy because they had their lives back. They were telling me their story of despair, but then the tears of joy because there's been such a major change in their life, and they have basically, like I said, their life back, and it's just. It's an encouragement to others who don't think they can have their lives back. They can.
Absolutely incredible. So what's next? Are you going to do something more in this realm, or what's next for you, and especially you in this subject?
Yeah, well, I've been doing a lot of press interviews all over the country, local and national, just to get the word out because we
Right.
want to get the film in front of those who need to see it. So that's taken a lot of time. I've also got my regular Gier Productions clients producing the TV commercials and corporate videos and things. And I was just hired to produce a documentary in New York City. The 20th year anniversary of 9/11 is coming up
Wow.
in September.
Wow.
And so I'll be going out to New York in July to do a bunch of filming just to talk about that. It's for a nonprofit organization, and they've just hired me to produce and direct the documentary that they want produced. So that's what I'm going to be doing
That's cool.
next, in addition to promoting Wounded Heroes.
Well, great. I'll continue with that. I do want to plug, you mentioned a nonprofit in New York around the 9/11 subject, and Saddles and Service, I know, is a nonprofit. I don't know about the other organizations you featured in the film, but I do know them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're always needing funds. They do it voluntarily. They rescue horses, they take care of these horses, and they help out the warriors and the wounded heroes. So they are actually doing a big fundraiser in July 30th at the local golf course here, the Cottonwood Golf Course. So we're going to be sharing some information at the end of this too, if you want to sponsor the event or be a golfer. There'll be some information on there. But these people all need a lot of help to support what they do because they're doing just unbelievable, kind things from the goodness of their heart. And I know the folks out there, it came from their own personal experience, from being veterans, coming back, experiencing these. Tammy's husband experienced some of these symptoms and knew a lot of people with that. So Saddles and Service, watch the film, Wounded Heroes. It's easy to get. It's well worth the 112 minutes. I think it's long. Is that right? So it's
an hour and 50 minutes. Yeah.
about an hour and 50 minutes. So it'll be an hour 50 minutes of very valuable time. So I encourage everybody out there to get the movie, watch it, and continue to support this cause. And it's not going away. Unfortunately, there's always somebody out there affected by trauma, whether it's military or first responders or could be anybody else in life. So really, really appreciate you being here today. Really, really appreciate what you've done in getting the word out in such a beautiful way and touching way. And thanks for joining us today, Michael.
Yeah, my pleasure. And thank you so much for having me.
Anything else you want to add as far as how to get a hold of you or what people can do other than the contact information?
Yeah, I guess just the website, woundedheroesdocumentary.com, which will probably be posted somewhere there. But
Yeah.
we've got the trailer and links to all of the platforms where it's available. And we also have something we just launched called Sponsor a Hero, which allows people to purchase screenings of the film that we then give away to our heroes at no
Oh,
cost.
wow.
That way, it's a way for us to say thank you for their service. And that's all on the website as well. And going back to Saddles of Service just briefly, I love them. And they are just two amazing people doing great work. And so anything anybody can do to help them raise funds for the amazing work they're doing is very valuable to them and their work.
Yeah. And their website is saddlesandservice.org, I believe. I sure hope I didn't mess that up, but we'll have it at the end. But anyway, Google Saddles and Service or call us here at Local Umbrella. We'll turn you on and support them. Buy some tickets to the golf tournament, sponsor it. It'll be a lot of fun on July 30th and well worth it. I can't think of a much better cause. So Michael Gier, thanks so much. Best of luck to you in your future endeavors. And it sounds like you're on track to doing a lot more a lot more good for a lot more people. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's our show today. Want to thank our sponsors, Attorney King, IB Fitness, and who did I forget? Sakan Casino. Thanks so much for joining us, and that's it for now. Thanks, Michael.